Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to The Point. I'm your host, Kenjuan Garnett. I'm pleased to welcome two of Chicago's best kept secrets. A little later, we have a special treat for couples when we learn all about sexing ice cream. But first, I'm joined by Deron Strickland, author of a new book titled Foundations. So without further ado, let's get to the point. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Well, before we dive into the book itself, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about who Deron Strickland is?
Oh, thank you. It'd be a true pleasure, and giving all honor to God first off, who's the head of my life. And Deron Strickland is just a man from Chicago, born and raised here. Went to Julian High School, graduated in '97. So big up to all my Jaguars out there. Went to the military, did law enforcement specialist, advanced weapons inside the military. Also went to dental assistant school, radiology school. Very big background in education.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure I live out purpose, and that's being an enhancement to others. Trying to help people get out of their own way. Like Will Smith in the movie Hitch,
Okay.
that was one of his favorite lines, help people get out of their own way. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, great. Now, the book itself, again, the title is Foundation. And why don't you tell us, I read the book, but I'll let you explain it.
Okay.
Explain a little bit about it yourself. Tell us about Foundations.
Foundations actually came from a paper that I wrote in college. We were in English class, and we had to write about something that was dear to us. Seeing that I grew up without a father, like a lot of us did.
Unfortunately.
Looked at my mom and her situation, trying to understand why she didn't move on and get married or anything like that. What I found out, there were certain things that was missing. I talked about them inside the book, which is communication, trust, loyalty, and respect, and how to actually build relationships. So that's where Foundations really came from. Just paying attention to all the things around me, seeing how God put Christian men in my life to give me an example of what it was like to be a father or a good role model.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
Okay. Are you self-published, or how did you go about, what was the transition from a paper in school to an actual book?
Well, there was a gentleman, Pastor Isaac Auerbauer in Dallas, who came way from Maryland, and he heard me just speaking to some students in our school about relationships. And I was just doing what I always do, just talking about that foundation. He saw how the young ladies responded to it and actually invited me over to his studio to shoot a TV show. From that TV show came the book. He told me that viewers would actually love to have something to read and have substance and value in.
Okay.
And so that's how the book came about. It was actually just a man who told me that I had a lot of God inside me and I should use it to really help people.
Okay. Now, it's when I read the book, one of the things that stuck out to me was your title for chapter 8, Respect. The hardest thing to get and the easiest thing to lose. I thought that spoke so true. Could you speak a little bit about that? Just the whole idea of respect and what role it plays within a solid relationship.
Well, I came from the aspect of looking at the word adore. The word adore means to hold to the highest esteem, the highest honor. I think about what we hold on to in our lives that are bad for us. We work so hard to have people trying to respect us, but we really don't respect them. My daughter actually taught me this lesson. It was a situation where she actually did something wrong in school, and just being a daddy, sometimes we don't listen. And I was so upset with her that I actually took her to my mom's house, and my mom called me back about 10, 15 minutes later talking about how my daughter was mad at me. She said she was acting just like me. And so I called myself getting back in the car, being mad at her. I go over there to the house, and I'm like, get in the car, Jalen. And she was like, that's Daddy's voice. He used his daddy voice. And I didn't get what she was saying, but then she showed me how much attention she pays to me. We get in the car and she says, you always put on this daddy voice when you get mad at me. Jalen, go to your room. Jalen, do this. Jalen, do that. And any other time she said, I always just talk to her. She said that's one of the things she loved about me the most is that she can talk to Daddy like I was just a friend. So that chapter was really actually dedicated to her, because I see how as parents, like I said, we get lost sometimes in the fact that we are parents, that we should actually walk what we talk. So that's where it really came from.
Now, there are a bunch of relationship books out there. I thought that Foundations was unique because it seems to examine relationships a bit from a spiritual perspective. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, the one thing I talk about the most is that we don't see a lot of couples in church together. We see a lot of women older men. But when you start talking about from the time you're born, you have relationships with people, the relationships between mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, and then, like I said, back and forth, with the girlfriend and the boyfriend aspect. I brought it from the aspect because a lot of people, they're missing that. We mimic what we see as people. So in my case, I grew up with a single mother my whole life. Well, like I said, I didn't have that person in home to model but her. As young men, we think that moms don't know what a man goes through or what a man feels, not even thinking that she's being born of a man also. So when I sat down and I started really looking at it, like I said, I try to introduce something else to people. I know I don't know everything, and the book is not a tell-all about what you should and shouldn't do. However, I try to use it as a help aid and introduce the Bible to people, introduce certain scriptures that will cause you to go back and have to read that whole chapter of the whole book so you can see the greater love. For the best example I used inside the book was 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter of the Bible. It talks about loving from your heart, loving with the love that God has, not the love that we have. Because like I said, we don't know enough about it.
Gotcha. Why do you think it's important for individuals to be spiritually grounded in order to cultivate a successful relationship or union?
God is love. God is the purest love. You think about John 3:16, where he says he gave his only begotten son, which is created son. He didn't have to. So when you start talking about being inside the church and actually learning the right way, it'll help you in your home. When you have that moment of breakdown in communication, best example I can think of, that's where all relationships fail, right there, the breakdown in communication. It'll teach you the same way you go to the Father and you ask for forgiveness, that you can ask this woman who you say, I love you to. It gives you a chance to help you step outside your own box and really start getting to a point and start seeing that maybe you are doing things to cause something to go wrong. I tell people we never get to the top alone. It's always somebody there. If it's you by yourself, it's always God there. If God blesses you with a beautiful wife or a woman that has the support of you, she's going to help you get there. So when you start talking about being rooted inside the church, it has to start there.
You speak a lot about self-esteem in the book. Why is self-esteem so important?
Well, honestly, if I come to you, and to a woman, I should say, and I say beautiful, but you don't believe that you're beautiful. You don't know that you're beautiful. Beauty is not always the outside looks. It may be that personality that's driving me towards you, that better good that I don't have, that you have. We won't be able to get anywhere with it. Without that self-esteem, from back and forth from me to her, we'll never be able to grow.
What do you think is the biggest mistake people make in relationships?
Ooh, the biggest mistake. Yeah, you would have to ask me that. I would say, honestly, stepping outside of themselves. A lot of times we try to bend and change ourselves and mold ourselves to this person versus allowing the person to truly love us and then grow with us. We'll make those necessary changes as the love calls for it, as God calls us to be in their life. But I would say, honestly, stepping outside of ourselves and who we're supposed to be.
Now, many sisters, we see a phenomenon where, particularly in the black community, a lot of sisters are beginning to make to a sin professionally. And kind of leave brothers behind a little bit, particularly when you look on, if you look at sheer numbers. You have sisters who are going to college and increasing rates in professional schools and embarking on very successful professional careers, and brothers are still, on a large scale, not. I actually read an article recently where it was just talking about men in general. Remember that 50 years ago, it was once the notion that women had to marry up, or they would marry a man who was had this professional career and made more money. But they were saying that actually more and more men are marrying women who actually make more money than they do, and so on and so forth. So just give me your take on just that whole phenomenon.
Well, to me, I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm glad. I'm actually extremely glad. Give you a best example of what I mean by that. I remember when I got married. I told my wife at the time, she wasn't in school, she was working a small part-time job. I said, allow me to put you in school. I said, if I'm sitting back on this end making $50,000, I continuously grow every year professionally. That means race is going to increase. If you're stuck at this one spot, we can't grow. If you allow me to put you in a situation where you can grow as far as having a career, where you could have to go back to school to get more training, more certifications, that means you're more in demand. Then we can grow to a point where if all my money can pay our bills, then guess what we can do with yours?
Right.
We can do some of those things that you said you wanted to do or you get on me about, we can't do.
Exactly.
So to me, like I said, that change in trend, I'm actually absolutely loving it. It's producing better and more educated children also. When you sit back and think that the Bible says that the man is supposed to do everything and the woman is supposed to be his helpmate, we're supposed to train inside our house.
Exactly.
Well, looking at now that the women are starting to get more training, they actually can educate us also and make us better fathers and better leaders, especially with our children.
Gotcha.
When, you know, we look at mom as that hero a lot of times, you know,
Exactly.
dad's Superman, but mom is really that true hero because she can do everything. It gives more inspiration inside the house. So I'm definitely loving the trend right now.
Okay, excellent. So what's next for you, brother?
What's next for me? Growing this business of mine.
Okay.
You know, I'm a consultant with the Chicago School, and I go in and try to help students get out of their own way. Just not post-secondary, but also building those personal and social skills. So right now, a lot of my focus is really helping the youth. That's what I believe that God has called me to do, is really starting to heal a generation. When I look at the fact I've been out of high school since '97, the quality of student is totally different. They don't have the same respect values, the same hard work, dedication values. So I'm trying to put that back inside them because, let truth be told, I'm getting old, brother. I'm losing my hair. My body's starting to break down. I'm gonna need these younger ones. I'm gonna need that doctor that's sitting in the classroom. I'm gonna need that lawyer that's sitting. I'm gonna need them. So I'm trying to actually give something back to them right now. That's where I am right now.
Excellent. Beloved, this is Deron Strickland, author of a new book, Foundations, whom I thank for being here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Don't move, family, because on the other side, we're going to learn all about sex scene ice cream. Yum, yum. Don't move. Thank you, sir.